Hey, Curtis.
Hey, Oz.
What movie do you have for us this week?
This week, I got a four-parter for you, buddy.
Oh.
A four-parter. We got Red Sonja crossed with Masters of the Universe
Oh, Masters.
with a pinch of Gladiator and a whole lot of Snakes on a Plane. This week, we're watching the original Conan the Barbarian.
It did surprise me that Gladiator popped in. I had a feeling when I was watching, like, oh, there's some Gladiator-esque stuff going on here. You could have gone, you also could have gone like Thor Ragnarok,
Could have, yes, yeah, could have.
But yeah, just the muscle-bound Hulk fighting and fighting and fighting. But yeah, the Gladiator definitely fits a lot better. But no, the other three I didn't see. So nice job. Welcome back to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the podcast where we take a monthly theme, a new one this week.
Oh yeah,
and we bring movies to satisfy the theme. I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I'm the other host, Curtis.
And this week we are kicking off not only season 2, episode 53 here. So
bigger budget, bigger effects,
movie stars, filming on location of our own homes. But we're also kicking off a new theme as we're into November. We are kicking off 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger movie month.
Oh, what a great theme, Oz.
No, it is. It's a fun one for sure. And I could definitely understand how certain people in general are like, nah, I'm not into that. But, well, that's okay. But we are. So we're watching. And so that's where we're kicking off this month. A new theme, new season, and a new movie to talk about. But before we get to that, we do want to give a shout out to our Patreon subscribers, Don S. and Melissa L.
Thank you
again for your monthly patronage. Conan the Barbarian, 82. 1982.
Yep. 40 years old as of the time of this recording.
Yeah.
Oof.
40.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be 40.
I know. I mean, I got another 8 years, but
yeah, I'm at 12. I got 12 years.
Yeah, I'm 12 years.
28-year-old me. When I grow up, I'll be 40.
When I grow up.
So, but no, before we get to the plot, I think we should probably hit up the characters.
We should get those characters, and I got the plot this week, guys.
Yep,
so
I got 6, just 6.
That's plenty.
We have the titular Conan the Barbarian, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, in one of his early roles. Really, you could argue this was his launching point.
Yes,
really.
I'd say the major Hollywood debut.
Yeah, his career launching point. He'd been in some things prior to this. Hercules in New York, Pumping Iron. Like he as a bodybuilder was a well-known commodity, but this was his first. Let's put that bodybuilder on screen and see what happens. And,
let's give him a big two-handed sword and let him swing that around.
What is that sword, like 40 pounds? I mean, I read the trivia. It was heavy.
It looked heavy.
But it's Arnold, so whatever.
Yeah.
And so Conan the Barbarian, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. We have the main villain, Darth Vader himself, James Earl Jones, playing Thulsa Doom.
Yeah, he is. What a cool name!
It is a cool name. It's very like Indiana Jones-esque as well. But I love that name, Thulsa Doom.
Victor Von Doom's second cousin, twice removed.
Thulsa
and Victor,
right?
And Victor Von.
Yeah, Thulsa's wife Sandra. They host nice charcuterie Sundays in at their nice village bungalow. We've got Max von Sydow playing King Osric,
and he plays that character.
Yes, he does. He's from the Anthony Hopkins School of Scene Chewing.
Yeah. The Tony H. School of Acting.
That's but yeah, he's there, and he's there. He's mainly a plot driving character, but he's been around a long time.
He's worth a mention.
Well, and Arnold, I mean, really, I think it's fair to mention Arnold in the same vein as in this movie for sure. As Thulsa Doom. I just said who played him.
James Earl Jones.
Thank you, because I kept wanting to say Tommy Lee Jones. That's
Tommy Lee Jones.
Right.
It's Thulsa Doom.
Yeah. Just Tommy Lee as Thulsa Doom.
Now I'm thinking of James Earl Jones as Tommy Lee Jones's character, The Fugitive.
Exactly.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
Simba.
Dr. Richard Kimball, come out.
So, yeah, James Earl Jones and Max von Sydow, I guess, were offering up all kinds of acting advice to Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I think he actually, I'll give him credit for. He ran with throughout the rest of this decade because
he gave it the old try.
Yeah, his performances definitely improved over the course of the decade.
Yes.
So, we also have our Conan's his posse.
Sure. His
Valeria,
companions.
Subotai, and the Wizard. And so that's really it for the 6. And then we've got a bunch of whoever's. And Thulsa Doom's got his goons, and we've got King Osric's daughter.
There's a princess. But
yeah, it's like whatever. But that's it. That's our 6. That's our 6. And between those 6, there's maybe enough material for like 2 shirts.
All right, well, let's get into the plot
Let's
here.
do it.
We opened with a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, which really gives you an idea of kind of where this movie's going.
Yeah.
That which does not kill us makes us stronger. Oh,
yeah. When I think sword and sorcery epics of long, long ago, I think Friedrich Nietzsche.
Friedrich Nietzsche really gives you an idea about kind of the creative team. We're gonna circle back to some of those themes in a little bit here, but that which does not kill us makes us stronger.
Yep.
Nothing dark or ominous there, Oz.
No way.
Nothing that could be misconstrued by those who, let's see, try to fight against what they perceive as democracy functioning.
Yeah, those easily influenced by strong-worded advice.
Yeah. This is a Dino De Laurentiis film, Oz.
I do love the 80s era where Dino De Laurentiis shows up as a producer, and you're like, you just know you're in for bonkers fun. Yeah,
it's got to be fun if Dino's involved.
Yeah, exactly. And this one doesn't suffer from that. It's goofy and not goofy, just fun.
Yeah. John Milius is the director of this flick, Oz. He I think he wrote the final draft of the screenplay. He also was a writer for Apocalypse Now, Dirty Harry. So kind of
Did he direct Red Dawn?
I think he did. So John Milius, has kind of that fight, the one man or the small gang against the world sort of mentality. Often from a militaristic perspective.
Oh, yeah.
John Milius also was president of the NRA at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So there's also that.
As was Chuck Heston.
Apparently he and Chuck Heston were pals.
It doesn't surprise me.
No.
That's okay.
My cold dead hand.
Because apparently if you want to lead anything, you just grab an actor.
Yeah.
Or someone that works in the motion picture industry. As again, we've got, former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger starring in this movie. So
it's funny how that fame and whatnot can turn into political fortune sometimes.
Yeah. The actress that played Valeria, I believe, was a shift manager at a Perkins. So she also was a leader.
Somebody's got to keep that place running.
Right.
I like Perkins. I don't know about you, Oz.
I like Perkins.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, a little bakery in there.
Yeah. It's no Baker Square, but
it's you are correct in that. It's no Baker Square. Baker Square is up there on my list of chain sit down restaurants.
I miss the Baker Square. It's been 20 years since I've sat down at a Baker Square.
Love me a good Baker Square there, Oz.
I
Unfortunately, there's no Baker Square in Conan the Barbarian.
But there is Friedrich Nietzsche.
I think it really would have lightened the mood,
There may have been a Baker Square, just not on the path Conan was on.
Yes. If everybody had a pie shop special, a salad, a soup, and a half a slice of pie, everybody would have been happier in this movie.
To be fair, we did not see the entire city layout of that town that he and Subotai went into. So there may have been a Baker Square.
There was one tucked in the corner there.
Yeah, Conan seems more of a back alley kind of guy than he's not hanging around the square.
So there's a narrator of this movie, Oz, because there's so much dialogue. We need a narrator to tell us what's going on here. The narrator ends up being the wizard, who we actually meet about halfway through the movie, but the wizard is narrating the tale. He calls himself the chronicler.
Yeah, he also continues narrating while he's acting, but in two separated roles. So, yeah.
He's just whispering from off screen.
You may think he's a ventriloquist, but no, he's on screen and his voice is narrating at the same time.
So we get the title credits of A Sword Big Forge. There's some great music in this movie.
It really is. Yeah. And I get to that later as well.
Yes. Conan's father and mother are there. They plunge the sword into the snow to cool it. Conan's father tells his son of Krum, the god of the earth, and tells Conan the secret of steel. This movie really, they quite literally worship weapons in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing odd or disturbing about that.
Now, and I'll give Dad credit. Dad comes off as he's very articulate. He seems very knowledgeable or whatever. Conan, not so much. Like, even the boy playing Conan just kind of has this just derpy look. And I don't know how much is really soaking in. His dad's like, listen, Conan, I'm going to tell you how life works. And he's just blinking. It's like that meme where the guy, or like the anime characters, like reaching for a butterfly. Just like, just so easily distracted. Like, Conan's just sitting there like, and you're like, the lights aren't on.
Hey, Dad, I don't think I'm going to do hamster style anymore.
Okay, son. Yeah, that's pretty much sums it up. Is Conan's just he's not necessarily mentally all there.
Yeah, he's present in body, but not in mind. Right. Conan's dad again gives him some great advice here. There's no one in this world you could trust, but then he points to the sword. This you could trust.
Right. Always trust your weapons, son.
Yep. Don't trust other people.
Don't trust anybody else. No. Just trust your weapon.
Just trust this sword.
I'm waiting for Dad to like wink at the camera as he's saying this.
Yeah.
A lot of fourth wall breaks in the making of this movie, but they edited them all out.
As he cocks the sword.
Why has that sword got a hammer lock?
This ad paid for by...
Just make sure the safety's off, son.
This ad paid for by the Ted Cruz Super PAC.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
So young Conan watches the woods as horseback riders descend on this peaceful village.
Oh, Milius does an excellent job with his wide angle shots. One of them where Conan, he sees like that a scout. I'll call him a scout.
Yeah.
And the scout like jumps up on top of this boulder and he's like backlit by the sun. Mm-hmm. And then like Thulsa Doom's like all his like horse.
Yeah, like
his cavalry,
30 goons just come by.
And the scout's just standing there, like, it's just, I don't know, it's just imagery like that. It's just so cool.
Again, Milius, we can argue philosophy, and I think we probably will continue to kind of see some of that in there. But he's a great visual storyteller. Like you can't take that away from the guy. He's a great visual storyteller. So they basically slaughter everybody in the village. Conan's father does take some guys out. Like he takes out several of them. Eventually, he gets an axe to the back, and he's finished off by a pack of kind of hunting warrior dogs. Oof.
They're basically just torching the place to torch it. Like they weren't coming to necessarily like rape and pillage. They're coming mainly for the children.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they need people to push the big wheel. Doom comes up and just beheads Conan's mother as she's literally holding hands with her son. So that's
it was the unblinking Thulsa Doom. He's just like, she's sword drawn, ready to fight, and he just stares at her until she lowers her blade. Like,
and then he does the old fake out, like he turns his back to her, and then swings the sword around, like gotcha.
Yeah,
two for flinching.
And Conan doesn't break eye contact. Nope. She's beheaded. Her head falls at his feet. She, falls away from him. Hand separates, and then he just has the look of like the lazy older brother of the kid, like the feral child from Road Warrior. Just like if there were video games, that's what he's spending his time doing. But yeah, she falls and he just stares, and then they leave. Like they shackle him up, and
they take all the kids. They bring Conan to the Wheel of Pain. So he's basically just pushing him like a
wheel. Oh, pain! You so stupid! Red snapper.
We'll give the wheel one final spin.
Right.
And so and then we get the morph shot from him being like 10-year-old, like tiny Conan to like I don't know, early 20-something Herculean.
Like, he goes from like lowercase Conan to
to
like midway where they don't even show the kid's face; they just show his thighs getting a little bigger. And then they cut. And then they cut to Schwarzenegger.
I mean that wheel. You must have been working every muscle group there, Oz.
Every one of them.
Everyone.
And the energy that he was putting out didn't like. He was using so much energy pushing that wheel and growing his muscles that his hair stopped growing. Because I don't see them like stopping to giving him a haircut. He hadn't had a haircut in like 20-some years, but still the same length.
Yeah. Today's leg day on the wheel.
Always leg day on the wheel.
Always leg day.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then Conan apparently has an owner, and they throw him into a gladiatorial pit. And
what do you think the purpose of the wheel was?
The purpose of the wheel? I don't know. Like it had to do something. Like it. I don't know. Maybe it was grinding grain or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Because it was just kind of this desolate area of nowhere. Like it's not like they're pumping oil or anything like that.
We've struck oil. Tell Thulsa.
Texas tea.
I don't know. There had to be something happening off camera. I don't know, maybe it's
outside of just punishment.
Maybe they're making like cotton candy or something.
Yeah,
it spins the little thing in the cotton candy machine.
That's probably it. Yeah,
that reminds. There's a Simpsons moment where Homer is being punished for something, and he's like he's beneath the power plant in some like dungeon, and there's a guy whipping him. And it's the same thing. It's a little wheel. He's just turning around, and then the camera pulls up, and the thing that he's actually turning is just a little donut tray. It's like just a little like tiered donut display.
Yeah.
And Lenny and Carl are like, I wonder what makes it spin. So maybe,
Homer.
So maybe it was a pastry tray that he was
That's
turning.
probably it. Yeah, yeah. It's got to be it.
Yeah.
There's something down below that they were.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know what the point of other than just punishment.
Yeah, it's just turn it just for the sake of turning.
Yeah.
So he's a gladiator now. We get some of the chronicler. He didn't care anymore. Life and death were the same. He began to gain his sense of worth. He mattered. Some cool fight scenes. Like there's one scene where he's in the pit and he's got these giant like arm gauntlets.
Yeah.
They have like a spike on the elbow, like and on the fist.
Right. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy because here's Conan, who in his first fight is like fighting a man who's all armored and his teeth are like pointed, and like he defeats him on his own. So Conan clearly is like the champ, and then they proceed to make him even more formidable of an opponent. Yeah. Like he won basically barehanded, and now we're like, well, let's give him a shield, and let's give him like weapons on his elbow. It's like he was winning without all that. So it's like, why would anybody want to fight him? Like you're making him more invincible.
Yeah. I do love though during the first of the fights. I forgot about this. During the first of the fights, he's kind of getting used to it, and he's getting beat up by one of the guys. And you get some of the classic Arnold in pain sounds, like ouch,
owie, oh, come on, stop it! It hurts.
Kill me, my toe.
That was my instep. He's biting me.
I didn't limber up properly.
But he's a winner.
He is. He's a winner. He's also a winner, Oz, with the ladies because
as they're forced into his cage with him.
Yes, so. as he's presented with a naked woman, and the gentleman that he is, he puts a cloak around her, then basically takes her to a bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like flinching the whole time. Like he goes up with the cloak and she's like cowering. Like,
Yeah.
Like she's afraid he's just going to rip her in half. But no, he's a gentle lover, Conan.
As are the 20 people at the gate watching.
Yes. They're all, they all put their quarters in the peep show slot. They're there for a good reason.
Nothing wrong with this sequence, Oz.
No, women didn't matter then. Why should they matter now?
But always there remain the discipline of steel.
That's
as the chronicler says as he trains with his sword. Conan is asked at one point, Oz, and again, absolutely nothing wrong. See if you can find any fault with this statement.
Okay.
What is best in life, Conan? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women.
It's his first lines of the movie.
Yep.
Like Conan has not spoken a word
other
yet.
than right.
Which I don't know if those are scripted, but it's his first scripted lines of the movie.
It was ad-libbing.
Yeah. Conan hasn't said a word in the 20-some years that we've seen him on screen, but of course it's like 20-some minutes. And first ones are in perfect Austrian English. To be the best, to crush my enemies.
Actually, I have a sticker on my the back of my car, a bumper sticker, to just hear the lamentation of the women.
Yeah. That's actually our high school's motto.
Hear the lamentation.
Yep.
As the football team takes the fields. 1, 2, 3, lamentation of the women.
It's on our PA. In our PA system.
Good morning, kids. Let's hear the lamentation of the women. Now stand for the pledge.
Yeah, before every game we play a little bit of AC/DC and then follow it up with just this piece of audio from Conan the Barbarian.
Crush your enemies. And today for lunch, Sloppy Joe.
Well, and it's ironic because we encourage our football players. We make a tunnel of cheerleaders, but then we encourage the football players to just run over the cheerleaders.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Not through them, but
over them. Because, that's
right.
How else are you going to hear the lamentations of the
women?
Right. For no reason, Conan's owner, master, whatever frees him. He just does. Like
plot development.
Yeah. So he's a free man.
Like you said, no reason at all. I've made my money. I'm going to retire to Miami.
Buy a Lambo.
Take advantage of the no state income tax and really just live my best life. Thanks, Conan.
Right. So Conan's, he hides in some tall rocks from some dogs that are chasing him, and he stumbles into a cave. He finds kind of an ancient temple in there.
Literally stumbles backwards, falls backwards into this cave. I think it's important to note here, and I'm sure it'll come up at some point, but might as well now. Conan did Schwarzenegger did all of his own stunts in this movie because they couldn't find anybody big enough.
Yeah, they couldn't find a double. Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't. So when you see him falling backwards on this rocky cave, he's literally that's Schwarzenegger doing that. Yeah. So the same thing for the actress who played Valeria. They couldn't find a suitable double. So there she is. There. I mean, the stunts you see, that's them.
So there's like some kind of royal regal figure and a throne there with a sword, and he takes the sword and kind of shakes the rust off of it, and it's glimmering in the sun that isn't in the cave. And
nope. It was at night, but it's okay.
He takes the sword, Oz, and as he takes the sword, he lets out a crumb. which is one of those words that you and I just share. Like whenever one of us accomplishes something and we don't have anything else to say, crumb.
Actually, Crom's first name was Harry, and John Candy played him. In a biography, who is Harry Crom?
Who is Harry Crom?
Little did you think that it was John Candy as the physical embodiment of Harry Crom.
That skeleton that was in that cave was actually modeled after John Candy.
It was John Candy's skeleton, recreated via X-ray.
Yeah.
All these years, Schwarzenegger's been putting himself to the test to look like his body, when in fact he should have looked like John Candy.
Lesson learned, kids.
Yeah.
Conan travels on foot, comes across the hut of a very beautiful woman. The woman in a deep husky voice. There's warmth and fire. Do you wish to warm yourself by my fire?
Right.
Hello.
Yeah.
That's one way. That's one way to ask someone to.
Yeah. You pay extra for her 900 hotline.
Yeah.
she's good with the words.
Yeah. If I had a nickel for every time a woman asked me that.
Yeah, it's actually Jim Morrison. That's who it was.
Is it?
Yeah.
Come on, light my fire.
Exactly.
It's actually how Patreon subscriber Melissa L and I met.
Outside in her hut.
Yeah, she was in her hut. And she asked if I wanted to warm myself by her fire. And then I was like, "Well, are you a Patreon subscriber?" Because
I just don't offer my services to those who aren't.
Because if you got $6 a month, I got a deal for you. And the rest of the story is just a magical tale of being a Patreon subscriber.
Right. L. Tales old as time. and just like Patreon subscriber Melissa L, this woman turns out to be a witch.
Yes.
Just kidding, Patreon subscriber Melissa L.
So Conan and this witch end up fornicating. We'll just say,
Conan does. It's a woman. What do you expect Conan to do with a woman?
That's all he knows. And so,
she did invite him in, though.
So I guess it. Yeah. It was a mutual fornication in this case. So they're having a good time, and she turns into a demon mid romp.
Yeah,
mid romp. Oz.
Yes. Yeah, so she and she's a demon or a witch or whatever because the light turned blue on her face.
Yes,
it's a quintessential '80s blue light on your face means that you're something horrific.
I mean, had she turned any other color, it would have been fine. Right. You just
it would have been expected, but
purple,
not blue.
Orange, red, blue. Yeah. Oh, that's a demon color.
For another reference, just watch the end scene of The Howling, person turns who werewolves out and it's all blue moonlight in their face. So
so he just literally throws her off of him into a fire.
Technically over the fire.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw she clearly landed on the backside of this fire.
Yes.
But whatever. Movies.
she basically turned into like a Mario fireball and then just kind of flew away while cackling.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. She turned into electricity somehow. And
she landed on the flower from Mario Brothers.
She did.
And as she's cackling and bounding away, we get another crom.
Crom. Yeah, so far we've established that Conan is just barely not Groot.
Yeah. I am
just barely. The only thing I could do is say what my goals in life are and then to just yell crom.
Yeah. It's a lot of subtext there.
Yeah.
Next, we come across Subutai, Oz, who's kind of becomes like Conan's buddy, like his sidekick in this. He asks for food to protect himself from the woods. He's a thief and an archer, so they become buddies, and they kind of have some playful dialogue.
Yeah, as they go running through the countryside to some just wistful LARPy music.
Yeah, they have a good run, and they run for a while. Oz.
They do. They haven't developed paths and roads between their cities yet.
They come across the town. They're told about the Tower of the Serpent and a jewel called the Eye of the Serpent. So they decide they're going to bust into this tower, Oz.
Yeah.
And as they're about to do so, they come across another thief about to break in, and we meet Valeria. So we meet Conan's two main sort of sidekicks and team members here within a few minutes of each other.
She's a woman, so you can only imagine where this is headed.
Mm-hmm. Although, as opposed to the other women that Conan has met, he actually treats her with some respect here.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
And I
think it's because I think he sees a lot of equal in her. This is the first woman he's come across that isn't just a woman. She's a warrior. So I think he can connect with her there because they could talk about who they've killed and what sword caliber they like best. And...
Yeah. He definitely he swiped on her.
Yeah. Which red state they should move to.
how to make bacon wrapped around the barrel of your AK-47.
Right. Exactly. how to come off victimized. So.
There you go. So they climb up the tower. Valerius, I think Conan is kind of impressed with her because she's very kind of cavalier. Do you want to live forever?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they descend into the tower from the top, and they come across the high priest. It ends up being, I think, Rexor is the guy's name.
Yeah.
Second in command to Doom. They said that Doom is supposed to be over 1,000 years old. So
this guy's played by a former NFL player, something or other.
Yes, something or other from the Who's It What's It team.
Yeah. He's a footballer.
Valeria steals some garb of one of the, I'm guessing, virgins.
Yeah, kind of a cool little sequence where you see her in the background, and then they cut to what Conan and Subutai are doing, and cut back, and she's just now in that garb. I've always thought that was just kind of funny, just. Because normally the movies will show, you wrap your hand around their mouth and you back them off into the shadows. But no, it's just, nope, she's just there.
No, I mean, well, what's going to happen anyways. So, so why show it? So while she's kind of trying to get a little bit of intel here, Subutai and Conan, they end up stealing the eye of the serpent over some gigantic snake that's kind of wrapped around it. Conan's sweat lands on it, waking it up. And Conan sees the snake symbol, which was this Thulsa Doom symbol. So that's kind of what he's been poking around for years. The two snakes from the same body facing each other. So Conan,
it's early version of Cat Dog.
Basically, yeah. that's where Cat Dog got its idea.
Yeah, that's where John Milius was a big inspiration of Cat Dog.
So this gigantic snake attacks Conan. He stabs it up from the bottom, like up from his jaw.
I love this scene. I left it off my 3-2-1s just because I had others, but this was one that was my early 3-2-1s of just the snake fight scene.
Subutai pelts it with several arrows and then tosses Conan his sword, and he just lops its head off.
Oh yeah! Did you read in the trivia that John Milius that those arrows were actually shot over Schwarzenegger's head?
No, I didn't see that. Although I was wondering because it looked really realistic.
Yeah, it was really realistic. John Milius was the one that was shooting the arrows, only because
of course he was.
Only because he was deemed the best archer on set, and just this some ragtag competition. It wasn't like they brought in a professional archer. It was just who could shoot an arrow best. Okay, you're going to shoot it over Arnold's head. So, early '80s filmmaking at its finest.
Yep, let's just get the old bow and arrow out.
Right, it's like nobody knew who he was yet. Anyway, if we kill Schwarzenegger on this film, it's not like whatever. Nobody knows who he is yet.
Nobody's seen Pumping Iron.
Right.
So Valeria back up top witnesses a topless virgin jump into the snake pit where this headless snake is. They all escape. Valeria kind of covers their exit. We get another, do you want to live forever? She just throws herself off the top of this tower.
Right. Yeah, all like Assassin's Creed style.
Mm-hmm. They divide up their spoils. He gives her the eye of the serpent, and then Conan and Valeria make sweet, incredibly awkward love.
No, it wasn't awkward. When you're muscle bound like Arnold or me, that's just what love making's like.
That's what it's like.
Right. Yeah. It's like if picture this, if you're a woman and like those NFL drills where you run the gauntlet, you're trying to run the football down the middle and they're hitting you with all the pads. It's like, take all the giant slabs of meat from Rocky, and then you're a woman and you're just trying to run through all of that just protein. Just slam it against you every which way. Solid as a rock. That's what it's like.
You really paint a vivid picture there.
Yeah, and then Milius just filmed it, so...
Yeah. And this scene went on for a while.
Yes.
It really went on for a while.
And to be fair, don't fool yourself, guys. I know all you guys see is my face, but down below, I'm built like more like John Candy, so... like Harry Crumb.
Harry Crumb. So there's a little sequence of them basically enjoying their spoils, they're enjoying themselves with all this money. Conan passes out at a bowl of porridge, face first, and they're captured by the men of King Osric.
Yes,
Max von Sydow, the aforementioned acting. So he hams it up. My daughter has been taken by Thulsa Doom. to the
squinting in one eye, like Arr!
To the mountain of power. So basically, that's where the heroes are gonna go.
Yep.
Valeria doesn't want to. Conan eventually he goes off by himself.
Yeah.
Conan travels. He comes across the wizard, who is the narrator, the chronicler. Conan leaves his weapons and his horse there, and he goes to kind of blend in with all of these people who are on the way to the mountain of power. These people who are like followers, devotees of Doom.
Yeah. They would be the ones handing out little red flowers at airports.
Or Gideon's Bibles.
Yeah, the Hare Krishna types.
Yeah. So Conan beats up a priest, takes his robes to blend in. He's easily found out. Doom.
I don't know how.
Doom points him out because it's all these other, like skin. It's like a bunch of me's, and then there's Conan.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of Kumbaya singers, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya.
Sing along with me, come on.
Someone's coming, Lord.
What are you waiting for? I'm just like you.
I'm here to worship Doom. I mean Doom.
I love snakes.
So they take him as at Rexor and Thorgrim, who's the other like kind of subordinate big bad there,
who is jacked.
Yeah,
like,
this guy's enormous.
This guy is jacked, but he's not like Schwarzenegger's height, so it's much more compacted.
Yeah,
and he's like a Swedish weightlifter or whatever, but. This is like the first of like 14 movies he's been in with Schwarzenegger. Because when they need somebody that can like be physically large, it's this guy. Like he was in Running Man with him. He was like the security guard that was with Richard Dawson.
I guess that makes sense. If you need someone who physically look intimidating next to Schwarzenegger, then yeah.
Yeah, and this guy, like, there's a reason why don't put a shirt on him. He's fine.
So they capture him, they taunt him. Conan realizes it's Doom. You took my village, you took my father's sword. Doom taunts him. Steel isn't strong, flesh is stronger.
Yeah. It's very David Cronenberg-esque.
Yeah. So Doom orders Conan to be crucified on the tree of woe.
And he gives him a kind of a really different insight of he tells Conan, like, I'm your father.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you wouldn't be what you are right now if I hadn't done what I did.
Yeah.
And
I give you purpose.
Yeah. Like, without me, who knows where you'd be?
Yeah.
You're here because of me.
You'd be back spinning the donut wheel.
Yeah. And Conan just kind of like, So yeah, it was a little much from to process, but whatever.
His wheels were slowly turning.
For sure.
So they put him on the tree of woe, which is quite literally a big rotting tree in the middle of nowhere, and there's vultures circling around, vultures pecking at him. Conan bites a vulture in the neck, killing him, or killing the vulture, I should say. I was reading in the trivia that was an actual dead vulture.
Oh, gross!
that he bit, and immediately after they yelled cut, they had him put like antiseptic in his mouth.
Oh yeah! Oh. Early 80s filmmaking at its finest. Nobody knows the Schwarzenegger cat. Just do it.
Just shoot some arrows over his head. Give a dead vulture to bite.
Just do it. It's like this whole thing. This whole thing is just one giant truth or dare between John Milius and his friends.
What do you think we'll get him to do today? Eat a dead vulture. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, why don't you put some mustard in your Special K flakes?
Oh, there's so many things I want to say right now.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
not.
Sorry.
Well, no, I really am. Like,
you are now.
That version of me was an awful version.
Well, that version of me had no backbone, so.
Well, that's true. You wouldn't be where you are without me.
That's right. You're my purpose.
I'm your Thulsa Doom. All these years later, it is finally revealed.
Crom!
It has also taken you 20-some years to figure it out. The cycle is complete, my son.
There it is. I'll be on the tree of woe if you need me. So the next morning, the music picks up, and Subutai runs up to rescue him. Valeria is there too. He's half dead, Oz. He's basically like Wesley in The Princess Bride.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
He's mostly dead.
Right, mostly.
He's mostly dead. So they
mostly come out at night.
So they bring him to Billy Crystal. And
Miracle Max.
Yeah, was it Carol King? Is that who was the?
It was Carol Kane. Yeah,
Carol Kane. Yeah. So Miracle Max, aka the Wizard, they bring him there to save Conan.
Right.
The Wizard says, "I can do it, but it's going to extract a heavy toll," which Valeria immediately says she will pay. I will pay this heavy toll.
Right.
Nothing bad's going to happen from that, Oz.
Foreshadowing.
So they're using an ink quill. They write some runes on Conan's face, and a big storm rolls in, and a spirit surround Conan. Valeria and Subutai hold him down and literally fight these spirits.
Yeah.
But Conan is revived.
Thankfully, because this movie would have been over. And there would have been no destroyer. It would just been a movie about Grace Jones.
Subutai the Barbarian just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Oh no. The wizard the Barbarian.
Crom the Barbarian.
Right. It's like now you're just providing like half the characters of Gauntlet. So
the wizard is dead. Oh, where were we? So yeah, Conan awakens. Valeria says that if she died, she'd come back from the pits of hell to fight by his side. Again, no foreshadowing there. Spoiler alert.
I like how she just automatically knows she's going to hell.
Yeah.
I'll come back from the pits of hell.
We know he's back because we cut to him shirtless practicing with his sword.
Yeah, Conan believes in Crom, but I'm a good Christian woman, so I believe in hell.
So they decide the three of us, we're gonna infiltrate Doom's mountain of power using we are. Like a gorge, like a secret entrance behind the fortress to rescue the princess. And they said, like we can do this job. Valeria says good thieves can do this job, but not vengeful ones.
Right.
And then looks directly at Conan as he's sharpening his sword. He says nothing.
Right.
Again.
Well, he was prepping up for his. The one of two. This is gonna be foreshadowy here. There will be 2 weeks in a row where we get a small montage of Conan wiping black grease paint on his body, so to camouflage himself before he goes to combat. Just a heads up, that'll probably happen again next week. So.
And again towards the end of the month as well.
Yes, as well. Yes, that's true.
At least 3. Yeah.
When we cover twins.
Yeah. jingle all the way.
That's when it happens. When we cover Junior. Decks himself out in black paint.
So the heroes apply a war paint and they stealthily, covertly enter this fortress. They walk into, I don't know if it's like a kitchen or something, but like there's this like
pots and pans. It was probably a kitchen.
Everything's drenched in this like cool red light.
It's like the set of Ratatouille.
Janine Garofalo was there.
Very busy Parisian restaurant that
they
happen to be walked into. It's the Baker Square we talked about earlier.
They found it. They walk into Baker Square. They get a lemon meringue.
Yeah, they come in through the back door, and it's the kitchen area of Baker Square.
They get honey mustard chicken.
There you go.
So there's this like cool sort of like chanting music, and like everything is drenched in this like awesome red light as they sneak around. And then they get into the main chamber, and they all kind of look over this ledge at the same time. And Oz, they've come upon, I know this is a PG podcast.
Yeah.
They come upon an orgy.
An orgy.
It is what it is. It's lots of people half naked.
That's short for orgianism.
Yeah. Lying in a big pit of flesh together.
Like a bunch of snakes slithering around each other.
Basically. Again, very cool music.
Yeah, oh yeah.
8 men carrying a giant large vat of boiling green liquid comes in. with human body parts in it.
Yeah, there's just like skeleton bones floating around.
There's like a guy's there's a guy's hand in there. There's a man's hand in the stew.
It's like I'm waiting for Carl Weathers to try to make a stew out of it.
You had to save that ham bone.
Maybe just make some blue bottom, make stew out of that.
They'll make hot.
Not our first Carl Weathers reference this month either.
They'll make another Arrested Development. Make hot ham water.
Hot ham water. Oh, I love that show.
So Subutai points out, so this is paradise.
I guess.
Sure, that's one thing to call it, I guess. So they spot the princess literally sitting at Doom's feet.
Yeah.
And then we get Oz. We get a really cool sequence here. Speaking of Doom, we get a couple kind of camera cuts with him, and then he's got like snake eyes.
Yeah.
And then we get the sequence where he transforms into a big snake.
Yes, he does, and it's not quite the caliber of Rick Baker in American Werewolf in London, but it's still just really cool because it's all practical because it's the 80s.
It was a very cool transformation sequence. So this big snake slithers down as the heroes sort of take their positions around. Valeria kind of crawls over and lights some curtains on fire to kind of cause a distraction. Mm-hmm. Subutai takes out the big vat guy. Valeria just lops some dude's head off.
Oh, I know. It's like there's no like it's so crazy because they don't hold back on the violence and gore, but at the same time they don't really sensationalize it either. Mm-hmm. You know, there's no like slow motion cut other than when Conan's mom got her head lopped off. Yeah. There's like no slow motion cuts. It's just part of the fight. It's part of the battle.
It's something I appreciate about the fight sequences in this movie. Like they're using literally very heavy weapons. Like this isn't you know like going back last week to Waxwork. You know when Zach Galligan and the Marquis de Sade, they're using, was it rapiers? Like the little skinny fencing swords. Like this isn't that. Like these are, as you mentioned before, like dozens of pounds worth of weapons.
this is like pure. Yeah, it's like all you have to do is give it a little momentum, and the sword's going to do the rest.
Yeah, this isn't. I'm going to like poke holes in you with a fencing sword. This is I'm going to cut you in half.
Yeah, these are used for lopping.
Yes. So this fight breaks out. There's Conan's taking out several guys. There's blood everywhere. Valeria backhands the princess, who then kind of snarls at Valeria. She like hisses at her. Rexor and Thorgrim arrive. And was it Thorgrim's got that gigantic warhammer?
Oh yeah, massive.
Yeah, this huge mallet. Probably just got done playing croquet with it.
Yeah, I think he just won the grand prize at the carnival. Like
ding,
exactly. There's no doubt that's what's going on.
So Conan dumps the big green vat of like pea soup and man hands down. Thorgrim accidentally hits a big pillar, which allows the heroes to escape. And then we get one of my favorite sequences in the movie, Oz, where Conan's got the princess over his shoulder, so he and the princess and Subutai make their way out while Valeria's covering their retreat. And she takes out like half a dozen guys on her way out, all in one like continuous shot.
Yeah, she definitely holds her own. There's no step down from Conan to Valeria. I mean, she's just as formidable.
So they're making their escape. They're on horseback, and Doom and Rexor and Thorgrim kind of step out of this entrance in the back, which kind of overlooks this valley. Doom takes a snake out of his pocket, Oz.
Uh-huh.
And he looks at the snake and just tells it, "Seek."
He's so cool.
Yeah, he straightens the snake into an arrow.
Yeah.
Fires the snake arrow, which hits Valeria on horseback. You know, they're at a dead gallop there.
Oh yeah.
So they get to some point far enough away. Valeria says, "The wizard, I told him I would pay the gods." And she dies, Oz. She dies.
I'm so cold.
Let me breathe my last breath into your mouth.
Jack.
It reminds me of the scene in Loaded Weapon where Kathy Ireland's character has been shot.
Like bags of ice on her
so
feet.
Cold. Yeah, and there's bags of ice and he takes them and throws them. Oh, thanks. That's better.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just... It was a little eye rolling, but it's like, I'm so cold. Well, again, which obviously I've never been near death, but I wonder, like, are people near death. Do they get cold? I don't know. Like your heart is still working. Your blood's still pumping because you're not dead yet. But I don't know.
It was just a crisp night.
Yeah.
That makeup, that body makeup they put on wasn't holding the heat very well.
It's true. So cold.
So Conan burns her body on a pyre. Subutai crying. And the wizard asks him, "Why are you crying?" "Well, he is Conan. He won't cry, so I cry for him."
Yeah.
Thanks,
and even then, they're like, even, like the wizard's like, you're like, that fire's not going to burn up there. Like, I mean, we're talking the windiest of windy. Like, it is gale force winds. And of course, Conan, nope. Conan is stronger than that. Crom is stronger than that.
So the next day, Conan kind of contemplates as the princess, who's, for some reason, to secure the princess, they tied her up by her wrists to a big rock, Oz.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the way the bad guys would keep someone secure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If there were train tracks, he would have secured her safety by tying her to the tracks.
Yeah, exactly. She won't get away from there.
Right. Well, nothing wrong could go. Nothing bad could go wrong. Whatever. Anyway, move on.
So Conan Subutai...
Bumbling.
Whatever, shut up. So Conan Subutai and the wizard prepare for the incoming, or the attack that's on its way. They're sharpening sticks, preparing their lair among the rocks, prepping all these weapons, including a gigantic...
Not the first time this month that Schwarzenegger is going to prepare his the battleground Home Alone style.
They throw some Matchbox cars on the ground.
Exactly. Like, they set a bunch of Christmas baubles and ornaments down. Like, we'll get them.
Tie some paint cans to some rope.
Exactly. I don't know where we got the blowtorch in the hand and the doorknob, but that worked here too.
Put an iron at the top of the laundry chute.
Exactly.
So Thorgrim, Rexor, and about 20 men and horses approach Oz against the three heroes.
Yep.
Conan prays to Crom, asking for revenge, because that's what you pray to a god
You
for.
do. Yep. With Crom. And if he can't answer his call, well, then to heck with you.
Yep. So Conan's axing a guy, Subutai spearing guides. On a couple occasions, Conan cuts off horses' legs.
A couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of times to bring guys down. Quick strikes from the rocks. They got the home field advantage here, Oz.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. The wizard spears a guy who was about to kill Subutai, and then the wizard kind of falls over on his back like a turtle. Kind of a funny little sequence.
It was, yeah. He couldn't get back up.
I did it with my spear! Thorgrim, the big guy with the giant hammer, sets off that big spike thing. Like, it's like a big spring-loaded spike, and it whips around and just impales him through the chest. Like
he thinks
gigantic spike.
Yeah. He thinks he's got one of them, like, from behind hiding, but, like, Conan had set the trap by just laying a helmet there on top of the spring. So yeah, he does the old carnival trick. He hits the hammer and it springs, and like you said, he just impales himself.
Yeah. So next time you're at the carnival, folks, make sure that
careful.
Yeah,
careful. Check your surroundings before you drop.
Make sure there's no giant spring-loaded spikes on the other side of that bell.
Because they'll get you.
They will. Rexor and Conan duel. Rexor's the only one left. Again, he's the second in command. And Rexor, he knocks down Conan. He's about to strike a killing blow when Valeria shows up, back from the dead, dressed as a Valkyrie.
I think it was Dazzler.
It was.
I thought I heard ABBA, and there was just a disco ball.
Yep. Alison Blair. Dazzler shows up, blinds Rexor. Do you want to live forever?
Oh, Lord.
Then Conan strikes several killing blows on Rexor.
Yeah.
And then he finally falls over. Conan picks up Rexor's shattered sword, realizes it's his father's sword. Rexor's had his dad's sword this whole time, Oz.
Yep.
What do you know?
Wow. Crom.
And the distance... So Doom was there the whole time. He knocks another snake arrow, goes to fire it at the princess as she's pleading for him not to. Subutai runs up with a shield and blocks it.
Yeah.
So the
Quit thinking, Subutai.
Yeah, so the Subutai saved her, despite the fact that she thought that Doom was there to rescue her.
Right. Nope. He was not.
So he proved himself to the princess that he's not who she thought he was. So back at the fortress that night, Doom is addressing the people, Oz. He's at the top of this big staircase. It looks like a big escalator.
It does.
It's like they're at the
It's like on the way to David Lopan's wedding. Thulsa Doom is a guest of honor at Lopan's wedding. He just didn't make it.
That would make sense. I could see Thulsa Doom showing up at Lopan's wedding.
They hang out together. They trade stories.
So the Conan and the princess sneak in because who better to bring with, to break into the enemy's stronghold than this princess. Shirtless Conan sneaks up behind Doom, who turns to him. Doom says, I give you the will to live, the wellspring from which you flow. Calls Conan his son.
Is this the talk that I mentioned earlier? Was it here instead of then?
It was kind of mentioned both times, I think.
Okay.
Conan brings the shattered sword, and he ends up lopping Doom's head off. 3 whacks.
Yeah.
Lops it off, holds it up for the followers, tosses it down the stairs. He drops the swords. The Doom's acolytes kind of extinguish their fires. And they all walk off. Conan takes this fireball container thing and like Hammer throws it up.
Oh yeah, he's an Olympian now.
Yeah, so
Mr. Olympia actually.
Yeah, burns down the fortress. Conan carries the princess off, and then we get we cut to an epilogue of old Conan sitting on the throne. Says the princess got back. The wizard says in time, he became a king by his own hand, and that's it.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. That's Conan the Barbarian, folks.
Right. Conan the Barbarian.
Yep. So at this point in the show, folks, we give our own unique rating to the film we've been yapping about, in this case 1982's Conan the Barbarian. Oz, how would you rate this movie?
Crumb. There's my rating.
That was I have down for my rating was going to be lots of crumbs, but you took mine. So
right.
So
we could agree on the same rating.
So yours was just crumb. Mine was lots of crumbs.
Right, lots of crumbs. Little bitty crumbs.
Crumbs of crumbs.
Sweep up those crumbs.
I'll go with two knocked snake arrows. How about that?
That works.
To go along with crumb. Next up, folks, we got Outside Insights. This is where Oz and I take our scouring of the interweb, in which we found some unprofessional review left somewhere publicly, and which we make fun of said review. Oz, what's your Outside Insight?
I got a 5-star review by Billy S20 on Letterboxd.
Billy, is that Billy Squire?
I think so.
I think it's
Billy Squire 20.
Billy Squire 20.
Yeah. Posted on July 20th of this year. He says, so bad. Shows just how advanced Star Wars was 2 years before. So, despite... so, yes, I understand that both of them take place a long time ago. However, one of them was supposed to be this, advanced, space travel-esque sci-fi... whatever. And the other one is designed to take place in a desolate landscape of pre-civilization. So it's not quite fair, Billy S., to be like, whoa, Star Wars is so more advanced. They had spaceships and lasers and guns, and this movie just had swords. Come on.
that X-Wing that Conan was in just didn't compare with A New Hope. Yeah.
Right? It's how do you compare those two things? Conan and Star Wars. Just doesn't make any sense to me.
I can see the cord on Conan's lightsaber.
It's just not even fair. Conan's sword doesn't even light up.
Shut up, troll.
Right. Billy S20. So that's mine. What's your Outside Insight?
My Outside Insight comes from the Internet Movie Database. And this is Daniel Carlson, 25, left in 2001. So 20 years ago, but I got 20 years after the film came out. The 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 review. The headline is the worst film I've ever seen.
Oh, the question.
Mm-hmm. Terrible.
So he's asking us.
Yeah, he's asking. Yes.
Like I keep a catalog of all the movies he's seen.
Yeah, so it's up to us to validate his question. Terrible acting, especially from Arnold. Bad footage and camera angles. Unrealistic, plastic, unemotional, brutal, boring. Too long for being this kind of a movie. Bad action scenes. Even the music is unacceptable. Some pretty girls.
Some of them.
Some pretty girls.
I want to find a positive.
One of the worst films I've seen. 1 out of 5. So, just for reference, going to the back here, this person used IMDb's 10-point rating scale and gave it a 2 out of 10. And then within the review, rated it a 1 out of 5.
He reduced his fraction.
No, okay. The math does check out there. However,
he simplified his fraction. It's fine. This movie was better than 1 out of 10.
Yeah. He simplified it, yes.
Yeah, he simplified his fraction. I can respect that.
Yep.
At least his math stayed consistent. Nice job.
Yeah, so if it was a 20-point, it would have been 4 out of 20.
Right. I give this movie a 20%.
I give this movie a 10 out of 100.
Right. No,
it would have been 20. 20 out of 100. There we go.
Yes. 10 out of 50.
There you go. That's where I was going. All right, it's that time of the show that our listeners have been waiting for, the 3-2-1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the movie in question. In this case, 1982's John Milius directed Conan the Barbarian. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first good is in line with the amount of violence. We've referenced it a few times here. Violent movie is whatever, but to me, honestly, the most violent part of this movie was the sound of Thulsa Doom's head as it's bouncing down the steps. Like, everything else is, I mean, you know, we've seen heads lopped off, you know, it happens. You watch, but this one for me is just when Conan just kind of tosses that head over and it just hits the steps and just slinkies its way down.
For me, it sounds like you're hitting a cantaloupe with a baseball bat.
Yeah, but for me, it's like that there might be the most violent part of this movie, of just the complete disregard for what he just did. He took a person's life out of vengeance, but then it was so meaningless to him. He just tosses the head and we hear it rolling. Nobody's screaming or whatever. So that's my first one. Is just the sound of Thulsa Doom's head as it's bouncing.
Sound of a decapitated head
as it's bouncing down the stairs. The second is having the wherewithal to just let Arnold's physical presence dictate his character.
Yeah.
We're not here. Nobody's here to listen to Arnold speak. And while he did have some lines, it's about that physical presence. Yeah. And so that's my second good. And my third, and we've mentioned it a couple times, just the score. Yeah. The music and the score of this movie, I have in my notes, is it's the rug that ties the room together. Like,
yep.
You know, epic movies don't work without an epic score, and this really is a space-filling, room-filling score, and it really solidifies the vision and scope that they're going for.
Yeah, love them. Agree.
What about you? What about you?
Let's see. My first good. It's despite John Milius's Miliusness. Again, as we mentioned earlier, he tells a good story, especially visually. So I thought it was well edited. I thought that it told a story without having to use a lot of dialogue. Not that the story was deep or anything like that, but it didn't need to be.
Well, unless you're trying to look for subliminal messaging, but
we'll get to that in our bads.
Yeah.
But again, overall, it's a well-told, fun story.
Right.
My second one, I love that sequence when they're escaping from the Mountain of Power, and it's Valeria, and she's covering everybody's exits, and there's just guys coming at her from everywhere. There's guys jumping at her from on top of platforms. They're coming at her like 2 at a time, and she's just taking them out left and right.
Oh yeah,
and she is ruthless in how she does it as well.
She's pretty BA.
Yeah, she is.
Sure.
That's I actually have that in my notes exactly. At one point, she comes across 2 guys coming at her, and she takes her sword and like pats it in her bare hand, like come on and get some.
Yeah,
and then she proceeds to take them both out.
Yeah, because she didn't want to live forever.
Nope, and well, she didn't.
Yeah.
And my last one, let's go with the set designs, especially like the snake imagery. They did a great job, kind of selling the bad guys-ness just with the set designs, and how opulent of a lifestyle that Doom and his subordinates led, and I don't know. I thought it enhanced the bad guy's character without having to add to the dialogue and whatnot.
Right.
Like you could see who they are.
Yeah.
You could see
I agree.
the lifestyle they live.
Outside of that opening sequence where they rush the village and and do what they did, like Doom wasn't being a villain. Like you just realized the setting he was in is what made his villainy apparent.
Yes. So those are my 3 goods, Oz. What are your 2 bads?
Boy, it sure was nice everybody spoke English. Like that's my first bad, and it's granted it's fine because this is a low hanging fruit in terms. No one's going to confuse Conan the Barbarian with an intelligent movie, and so you let a lot go. But yeah, like there was a lot of space travel, not literally space, but a lot of land and everything. But everybody spoke English, so that was nice. And second is as much as I like Valeria's character, her consistent "Do you want to live forever?"
I can tell you were rolling your eyes even as I was mentioning him. Yeah,
and she got a lot of recognition, as an actress for this role. Like she was up for different awards, and but her just "Do you want to live forever?" and then mix that with her Ghost Warrior presence at the end of the movie. I know it was written in there and it was foreshadowed and it had to happen. I get that, but it still was. It was like,
it's right. a little eye-rollingly.
Yeah. All right. So those are my 2 bads. What about you?
My first bad, I thought the ending was way too easy when the princess and Conan went back to the fortress.
Yeah.
Like they had to sneak their way in. When it was him, Valeria, and Subutai, they had to sneak their way in, use stealth, and really, have to keep a low profile. And then they had to fight off like dozens of these guys there, and he shows back up and just walks in.
Yeah, like he's just up there on stage already. Like he had backstage passes or something.
He used the dumb waiter to get up there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he shows up, with this like teenage girl in tow, and they just walk right up, and nobody confronts him along the way. And he just gets right to do it.
They had just killed everybody that was going to confront them.
I guess
at the rocks.
My other bad is that this movie is fiction.
Yes.
For those out there who take movies like this too literally, that's where things can go wrong. Again, this movie is, I have a feeling that some of the filmmakers might say otherwise, but if you take a film like this too seriously, that's when you end up getting charged for treason, Oz.
Yeah.
Movies like this, it's, again, if you take it too literally, that whole like self-made man, individualism above everything else.
You can only trust your weapon.
Yep, exactly. So these are movies that, again, go watch them, have a good time, enjoy it for what it is, but try not to find anything deep or meaningful here, because if you do, that's where folks get in trouble.
Well, and it's kind of odd because, we talk about this now, and you bring up a great point. But like for years, like horror movies are the ones that get put in the spotlight of, watching horror movies leads to this type of behavior. When in fact, it's movies like this and Rambo, and it's those kind of films where the weaponry is realistic based. Like, I'm not saying that like horror films have never inspired behavior, but it's really difficult to haunt someone's dreams on purpose. Because you saw it in a movie. But it isn't very hard to take a message like, you can't trust anyone, you can only trust your weapon. And I mean, that is loud and clear, stated right there to a child early in this movie. So you just wonder how many other times has the same kind of message been shared from a father to a son, and in the woods, or at the army surplus store, or something like that, to where that's the kind of stuff that does influences behavior. And those movies like this and Rambo and other movies of the ilk, those are the ones that get kind of ignored because you can glorify it as like, John Rambo, he's an American soldier. Like, we can't talk negative about an American soldier, but we can talk negative about Jason Voorhees, because he's not real.
Yeah.
And it's like, that connection is sometimes too realistic. And we've got real life people out here that are suffering from the same issues that a John Rambo suffered from, and are, okay, I could do this too.
Yep. Vengeance is contagious sometimes, and we project we project our values onto that.
Yeah.
Especially as you mentioned before, when we self-victimize too. That's when
Yeah.
everything really coalesces.
And then we put ourselves in a bowl of mob mentality and groupthink, and then suddenly it's one idea running for everybody, and everyone's too blinded to step aside and look at what's really happening.
Yeah.
You know, like, and obviously don't want this to happen on the extreme other end too, but like when Conan, you know, lops off Doom's his head at the end of the movie, like that action is like, that's what woke everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, well, the man I'm following is no longer followable, so no, I'm gonna go home. You know, the spell's been broken, and I'm off, and it's, you know, but I think that's a very valid and excellent point to make.
All right, so Oz, what's your one for Conan the Barbarian?
Did he get breaks as a child? Was he not allowed to eat, sleep, use the bathroom? Like, you know, it would have been believable if like every like back shot of him pushing that, you see like streaks of like defecation running down his calves, you know? So we're like, oh, he did go in him. But it's like, there's no way that he pushed that wheel for like 20 years straight without stopping. He's built like he did.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my did he not get any breaks at all? Like, how did he stay alive? Determination is not going to keep you alive. Vengeance is not going to keep you alive for 20 years without, you know, normal sustenance and sleep and water. And but it didn't appear that he got it.
You know, most people think that, you know, like labor laws came out of the Industrial Revolution and things like that. It came from the Wheel of Pain.
It did. So yeah, not the only political contribution that Conan the Barbarian made. Sometimes they made him for good as well.
Yeah, that's now the Wheel of Pain is now unionized.
Yeah, that actually, they filmed this much like Richard Linklater. They filmed this over a 20-year span.
Yeah,
that actually was Arnold Schwarzenegger as a child at the beginning of this movie, and they just had him push that wheel for 20 years, and then they montaged it into like 15 seconds.
Yep. The 5-day work week, the 40-hour work week goes back to the Hyborian Age.
There you go. Yeah. The original is called the Crom Act.
All right. Let's see. My I actually have two. I'm going to throw out a quick one just because I think it's funny and I think you'll like it. In the beginning, why does Thulsa Doom have tiny bangs, and why did he cut them?
He does. He was very like Fred Armisen in like an SNL sketch. Very straight across. Yeah. He had very tiny bangs. That's actually what he was mad about all these years.
Yeah.
Conan's mother was his hairdresser, and he got teased. Mm-hmm. And so he came back to see it was left on the cutting room floor, but that's really what it was.
Yeah, he finally went to Supercuts and got that taken care
of. Right. And then he had to take out his former hairdresser.
So my real is, what was in that soup?
It was split pea.
I mean, were they actually going to drink it? Like, at some point,
I don't know.
At some point, somebody ladled a hand out, and somebody took it, and I swear they took a bite out of it.
I don't know. Like, I agree. It was very runny.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't much thickness to it, so it was not. You know, it wasn't like I said, a split pea soup or a cream of mushroom or something like that. No, it was very brothy.
Yeah,
and
I think
where did the green come from?
I think it was like wheatgrass, like blended wheatgrass.
It must have been. Yeah.
It's very healthy.
It took a couple of wheat shots at Jamba Juice.
Yeah, a lot of fiber, a lot of B vitamins.
Yeah. Plus the protein. And the human. Yeah,
that's
body
parts. You got to have your protein in a good soup. You know, sometimes you use beef, sometimes chicken, sometimes human hands.
It was hot man water.
On that note, folks, that's Conan the Barbarian. Oz, what do we got in store next week?
Oh, we're going to come back next week with another 80s Arnold classic. We're going to watch Commando.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, I love Commando so much.
Another movie that, again, just don't read into it too much. Just enjoy it for what it is.
Easily could have been directed by John Milius, but wasn't. But no, don't read into any 80s Arnold action film. It is purely there for action purposes. You could say the same about about Stallone. Like, we could have done an 80s Stallone month and had basically the same sort of movies. It's just big action-based movies, and that's it. Have fun and go home, and hug your wife, and play with your kids and smile. It's okay. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, I'm going to go do that now.
Yeah. Well, that's what a man is. So
yeah, that's the problem. If you look at Schwarzenegger and think that's what a man is, like, how many of us can actually compare? Like, it's Schwarzenegger.
Well, speak for yourself.
And he's not. Well, I tried earlier, but like I said, I'm built more like John Candy. But no, we're coming back with Commando, another in and out action fest where it's very unbelievable that any of these people can actually put up a fight with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But that's part of the fun, is to watch Vernon Wells try to convince us that he's a formidable foe.
We go in, we kill.
So, but it is fun. I love Commando.
Yeah.
I won't say it's an underrated movie because I think it gets proper recognition.
So it's rated.
It's a rated movie.
It's rated.
R to be specific. But it's one that I've probably the 80s Arnold movie that I remember the most fondly. I think I probably watched it the most.
Well, I think it's the most 80s action movie that there is.
Oh,
like
for sure.
if you were to say, like, give me your prototypical 80s action movie, it's Commando.
It's Commando. It's Commando, which is why I don't think it doesn't get talked about as much, because it's made in the 80s. It takes place in the 80s. Like, it just screams 80s all over the place.
Yeah.
Conan was made in the 80s, but clearly did not take place in the 80s. And you could say the same thing about Predator. And really, I mean, you could probably extrapolate Terminator to a different time zone or a different time frame. Like, all of these work, but it's like Commando only works in the 80s.
Yes.
Like, malls and Porsches, and it's like, it's 80. Radon Chong and Valverde, and it's 80s all over it. 80s all over it. So that's what we're watching next week for sure.
Looking forward
Commando.
to it.
Oh, I love Commando. So, but yeah, that wraps up Conan the Barbarian for the first week of 80s Arnold month and season 2 of Let's Talk About Flicks, episode 53.
53.
But yeah, we'll be back next week with Commando. Social media, you know where to find us: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are on Patreon. There's a link below. You can watch us on YouTube. You can listen to us on your favorite podcast app. And we're just going to keep rolling through these, because we've got, with the exception of February of next year, we've got the next full season already laid out.
Yeah, we do.
That's how much preparation we put into making sure we keep you guys happy. So we're going to have guests this season.
Special guests. What?
Special guests. Yeah, so that'll be fun. Like you said, higher budget allows us to bring in free guests.
Upgrade the CGI.
But yeah, that's true. That's true. Holographic guests, I think, is the goal.
We're gonna have 3D Chuck Heston here.
Right. Yeah. Share your thoughts on Conan the Barbarian. So, but no, that's it for this week. Let's talk about flicks. I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we'll catch you next week with Commando.